Okay, sure. Do you want to cover the timing for us? I neglected to put in on the bio. And also discuss what your 3 main goals are for your first term in office. And we would also like to know, how long have you lived within the boundaries of the newly redistricted 51st Assembly District? And we will start with Arturo Chavez.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to, and I was on business. I then became a chief field deputy for Councilmember Ed Reyes. Worked for him for 4 years, and then has worked in the Senate for Gil Cedillo for 4 years, and now I'm going on 5th years in the Assembly. My goal, especially after today, if people know, the governor announced today that there's a $16 billion deficit, not a $9 billion deficit, not a $3 billion, but now 16. And so that has changed a little bit in terms of what we want to do. My basic platform is the same as this. I want to create jobs in the district. I want to fully fund education. I want to fund public safety. I want to do that in an economic situation that we just found ourselves this morning with the governor's announcement of $16 billion deficit. So my first goal would be to go out there and be able to try and wrestle with this deficit situation, which is going to be happening for the next several years, and to be able to fight for these safety net programs that we need to do, which includes health care, which is very important for us in our district, as well as public safety, and of course try to fund some funding for education, which is, we need to be competitive in this economy. So those would be my goals as I go to sector. No book.
And I think as I ask the questions, we'll be proceeding from right to left. So next, Jimmy Gomez, please, same question. And you have the questions in front of you, don't you? I believe. Okay, good.
I like open book tests. It makes it easier. Great to be here tonight. My name is Jimmy Gomez, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm running for Assembly for very personal reasons, and I want to tell you a little bit about those reasons. Now, when I was 7 years old, I ended up getting pneumonia and spending 7 days in the hospital. And that 7-day stay in the hospital almost bankrupted my family because we didn't have health insurance. And from that point forward, my parents would struggle to either pay the mortgage or pay the hospital bills. And no family should be forced to make that kind of decision. In high school, I was not the best student academically, I didn't have any plans on attending college after graduation. So I ended up working a couple of jobs at Subway and Target. And a friend of mine saw me struggling and decided to encourage me to enroll in a class at the community college. And that one class at the community college ended up changing my life. I transferred to UCLA in 1996 and ended up graduating with honors. And then within 10 years of finishing high school, the kid that didn't have any plans on attending college would get his master's degree from Harvard University. These are the issues and the experiences that motivate me to get involved in politics and in government and to run for assembly. So that is why I teach at Trade Tech Community College in the evenings, to inspire kids to get the skills they need to transfer to a 4-year university or to get a good paying job. That's what inspires me to also get the work at the United Nurses Association of California, to make sure that we fight for expanded health care for all, that we make sure that we fight for good paying jobs in the healthcare field, and that doctors, nurses, and patients make those healthcare decisions. So when I get to Sacramento, I'm going to focus on 3 things. How do we create good paying jobs that you can raise a family on, instead of working 4 to 5 jobs to make ends meet? Education, to make sure that we can no longer it's out of reach for too many families. And then at the last is expanded healthcare coverage for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Gutierrez.
Hi, how's it going? Well, the reason I'm running is for personal reasons as well. I just came from the 710 Freeway project in the El Sereno meeting, and I tell you, that's one reason why I'm running. Another reason why I'm running for office is I hate fraud, I hate corruption, I hate politicians living off of our hard-earned taxes and wasting and squandering them. That's one reason why I'm here. I want to preserve open space. I want to make sure that we have places that we can go to de-stress from the city. I want to make sure that we have communities that are safe and clean. I want to represent the community so they have a voice and that's not purchased or paid for by lobbyists or political action committees or by huge consortiums and large corporate interests. I want to stop the corruption where companies go out and take their assets. Just recently in the news, one of the co-founders of Facebook just declared himself not a citizen of the United States to save himself taxes, and he's now a resident of Singapore. I mean, I want to stop stuff like that, you know, or people hiding their assets in Switzerland or in Luxembourg or in small countries like San Marino, the country of San Marino in Europe. And so that's one reason why I'm running. Another reason why I just feel like I have integrity. When right now I'm an insurance agent, and insurance agents have to take a code of ethics and act in the most fiduciary capacity, which is in the best interest of your client. Well, I try to do that with my clients, and I hope to do that for the community here at large. And I hope that you visit my webpage at voteoscar.com. There's links to my Facebook, links to my Twitter. You can join the conversation about what's going on in our community. I post all kinds of interesting things about corruption in our government. But thank you for the time.
Good evening, it's great to be here. Thank you so much, Daniel and everybody else. It's great to be before you. My name is Luis Lopez, and I've served you for a decade either as president of the Planning Commission for this area, on the Neighborhood Council, where I served in Silver Lake for 4 years, on the Proposition K Parks Funding Oversight Committee for 3 different years there as well. So I've served locally for a decade in the area. But I think what perhaps is most important for you to know is how I got here. And just to start way back, I'm like thousands of folks in this district. I was born into an immigrant household. My dad landed here in this country in 1958 in the fields of Stockton. He started picking peaches, made his way down to East LA where he met and married my mom. I was the third of 4 boys, and he worked hard. Bought his first home, became a tool and die machinist. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. Unfortunately, she became ill when I was about 6, 7 years old. She had kidney disease, and she struggled with that, and she ultimately passed away from kidney disease. We struggled at that point, as you can imagine, 4 young boys and a single father. And I never, at that time, despite the struggles that we had, my 2 older brothers dropped out of high school, it was a tough time. Never thought I would end up at a private liberal arts college like Pomona College, and then 3 years after that at Harvard University getting a master's in public policy. But I know deep in my heart that happened because of teachers, because of social workers, mentors, librarians, people that represent our pathways to opportunity. And that's why I'm running. I'm fighting to protect those pathways to opportunity. And I will fight to make sure that we fully fund our schools, that we expand access to healthcare. I've spent the last decade at California's largest nonprofit community health center. And I'm going to take the work that I've done there and take it to the Capitol to make sure that we're expanding coverage, implementing hopefully the President's reforms, and creating jobs along the way.
Thank you. Okay, when you came in the door, I believe everybody was handed a blue card. If you'd like to write down any questions for the candidates, Monique will be picking them up. I can't guarantee that we'll ask them all, but she'll be going through and handing me some. The second question that we have prepared for you is, what will you do to support the opening of those state parks that have been closed due to the lack of funding? And this time, could we start with candidate Gomez?
You know, I agree that we need to open the state parks that have been closed. And a lot of the closures are just a plain result of the economic crisis that we've seen in California and across the United States that has decimated our state's budget. You know, originally, earlier in the year, it was supposed to be a $9.2 billion deficit for the state budget. Like, that should make us feel any better. But after today's news of a $15.7 billion deficit, we are in a deep, deep hole that we have to climb our way out of. So the way that we can climb our way out of it is that the governor pointed out a few things that he said that caused the greater deficit. And mostly was a weaker economic forecast and lower taxes than we ever had before. So we need to create jobs, plain and simple, in this state by ways of of expanding the current industries that we currently have here, and then providing resources for the new industries. A good example is that currently we have a tax loophole that costs the state $1 billion a year. And that corporate loophole was actually passed about 2 years ago in the middle of the night, right before the deadline in the beginning of September. So I want to propose that we cut that close that loophole, take that $1 billion, and then use that to encourage job creation for small and medium businesses. Take that $1 billion and give them a tax credit that allows them to hire new individuals within their business, and then get those people working. Because if people are working, then they have the money to spend on goods and services. And if they get the income, then they're paying taxes. Because the only way we're going to actually get ourselves out of this mess is by creating a stronger economic environment in California.
Well, I would propose that we do something that the city of Los Angeles and LA County has been trying to do, is advertising. You can make several $1 billion in the state alone by saving the parks in the state by opening up parks to advertising. Now, it's not going to be gaudy. It could be a good way to do this. I would propose kind of like the way PBS does underwriting, the way PBS and let's say KPFK or 89.3 KBCC, those are public stations. They do underwriting, which is advertising, but soft sell advertising. That's one way to raise revenue for the parks. The other way would be to cut the corporate loopholes in taxes, like I mentioned earlier, to stop companies and individuals who make billions of dollars and take their assets to different countries and try to hide. And then the other aspect of saving our parks would be to get the scofflaws who do not pay their vehicle license fees in this state. We have 24 million registered vehicles in this state, and approximately 2.3 million of those vehicles do not pay vehicle license fees. Either they register their vehicle in other states like Texas, Nevada, Oregon, Washington State, as far away as New York, and then they drive their car here and they keep their cars here, but they don't pay the vehicle license fees in this state. They're paying to other states. So I think that's one way to get money back. That's $500 million that the state does not collect every year because of scofflaws who don't pay their vehicle license fees. So we should get that money, use that for infrastructure, or use that for state parks. And that would be one solution, to bring at least $500 million there. And of course, closing the corporate loophole could bring anywhere between $1.5 billion. So that's about $2 billion right there for the state budget. And there's other ideas that I have. And of course, the advertising would bring in at least $2 billion in revenue. So it's $4 billion.
Well, I'm heartened to see that there's been a number of, as I'm sure some of you've read, partnerships that have been developed between state and local nonprofits and other agencies to keep some of the parks open. I think that's fantastic. Even with that, however, I think we're still looking at a number of potential park closures coming June 1st. And it's just awful. Even during the Great Depression, we didn't have as many park closures, state park closures. So I think what we need to do is pursue legislative channels like the bill that Joe Simitian and Senator Maureen Evans proposed just a couple weeks ago, which would give greater it would reshift a number of existing funding sources to parks. It would give state parks greater flexibility to raise money to keep those parks open. And it would provide nonprofits with assistance, those that want to help raise money for state parks. Look, if we close parks, we know the consequences to that. You get vandalism, you get encroachments, you get all manner of things that can go on there, and that can increase the cost. Just one fire at a state park can wipe out the entire savings that we're looking at through some of these some of the closures. So we need to look at partnerships, creative ways of bringing additional partners to place so that we have the resources to run our state parks.
Sure. Well, state park issues is a big big issue for us. I mean, we have to start looking at creative ways to finance state parks. We have to look at some of the ideas that people have talked about in terms of being able to bring together some additional partnerships with like nonprofits. Or Santa Monica Conservancy is always tagged for trying to get some more money for all the different open spaces, but they're at a certain area. I think we need to first of all show that there's an importance in terms of having state parks that continue open. We have an ideal situation that happened here with the River Los Angeles Park, where we were able to partner with Los Angeles City Rec and Parks also in order to keep that open and to make sure that it's managed both by state and by the city. It's the only one in the state that did something like that, and I think we should start looking at some kind of resources, even though the cities are also hit by these deficits. But it's also something that we can start looking at nonprofits, some of the cities that can be doing this, and also making sure that we do find some additional funding. Now, the funding that people are talking about, because with the $16 billion in the deficit, is going to make that difficult. Let's be honest. When we start looking at those types of funding, how are we going to fund further education versus state parks versus something else? I think that as the assembly member, I need to be able to impress upon the legislature the importance of maintaining open space, maintaining state parks, as well as education funding, as well as healthcare funding, as well as anything else, because it happens to be part of health care to be able to have these state parks. People take their recreational activities, they're walking, they maintain their health on this, and they're not going to be able to do this if these parks are closed. Those are, to some people, only avenues that they have. So it's an important issue for us to make sure that we fight about it. And being in LA with limited green space, that's what we need to really push to make sure that that happens. So I would not vote for a budget that will cut state fund parks. I would say that we'd have to take that as an argument to the rest of the Senate.
Thank you. Actually, I need to revisit question number one because neither candidate Gomez nor candidate Gutierrez addressed how long you lived in the current 51st district. Please don't take 2 minutes.
Okay.
Just a few seconds.
You want to go first?
I can go first. I've been here since 04 off and on, and then since 06. And then since 09. Different places.
Okay.
I move a lot.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm 41 years old, and I think I've lived in the district approximately 32 years. And then for a short while, I lived in Chino Hills for 2 years. And then lived in, let's see, Culver City when I was a baby. So I don't remember much about Culver City, other than it was quiet.